Hello, it is E. Willie. Once again, even though nobody's probably watching, but it's been a long day. Nothing too exciting in the news. We do have a couple things, and I want to start off with Ron Desantis and his reaction to the Cuban crisis. I love DeSantis, and I will say that I moved to Florida because of DeSantis. I think he's protecting our rights. I think he's doing the right thing, and I think he's standing up to the machine. We'll go into the article, though. In Texas this past weekend, sitting side by side with Governor Greg Abbott for a press conference about the border, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis talked about the effects of immigration into his state. But in a Fox News appearance afterwards, DeSantis tied immigration back to the issue he has thrown himself into over the last week: the plight of Cubans revolting against the Cuban dictatorship. It's a double standard, DeSantis said. They have hundreds times stronger case for political persecution, leaving a communist dictatorship, than other migrants who are coming across the border, who are basically coming across the border because they want more economic opportunity. Since images and videos of Cubans taking to the streets to protest the government and lack of food and medicine reached cable news and social media, DeSantis has seemed intent on using his role as governor of the state where the heart of the Cuban American community resides to support the protest. But Democrats question the sincerity of his interest in Cuba, arguing that it is politically motivated ahead of a re-election campaign for governor and a possible presidential run. It's absolutely a lie. He's lying to score political points, former Florida Congresswoman Debbie Powell told Newsweek. DeSantis charged that Biden is treating Cubans differently at the border. Someone has to remind DeSantis that it was Trump administration that deported thousands of Cubans seeking asylum at the border, she said. They were the ones who closed the embassy, and hundreds of Cuban families were asked for a Cuban family reunification program to be reinstated. Okay, so first of all, yeah, it is true that Trump was hard on anybody who was coming through the border. It didn't matter who you were, and that was partially why he got elected. And we have to realize Ron DeSantis is not Donald Trump. They are two different people with two different lives with two different views. Okay? You can't just say because Donald Trump did something that means Ron DeSantis is somehow held responsible for that. And it is true. The Democrat Secretary of State, I think, Mayorkas, told Cubans not to come. Why don't they want Cubans to come? Because Cubans are the only people that immigrate to America and actually are conservatives, because they see what happens when you allow the Democrats to run, or when you allow government to run everything. Everything goes to crap. You are under tyrannical rule. Now, the Democrats, they don't care about people crossing the border. Why? Because of the votes. And establishment Republicans don't care about people crossing the border. Why? Because they like the labor. But we'll go back into the article. Florida Republicans argued that DeSantis is not new to the Cuba issue, and his selection of Cuban American Jeanette Nunez as his lieutenant governor not only shows respect for the issue, but also increases his understanding of it. But Nelson Diaz, the former chair of Miami-Dade Republican Party, told Newsweek it's not just about DeSantis being pro-Cuba. For us Cubans, understanding what socialism is and wanting it to stop in this country, we see him as an anti-socialist fighter, he said. Yes, and that's the bigger issue that is surrounding this. I don't know what would happen if tomorrow 100,000 Cubans decided to swim and come to America. I have no idea what would happen. I have no idea how we'd handle it. I would hope that we'd be able to integrate them into society, because they seem to be good people. They seem to be people who actually want to strive for something better after being just tyrannicized for so long. But it is a bigger issue. It is the issue that DeSantis is showing that he is pro-America. He's pro the American way. He's not pro what these progressives want, which is more state control of things, more free money, Well, that's to simply say it, but just more programs, more regulations, more basically government control, and government being our parents. So that's the really big thing we get out of this. It's not so much that, well, we get to see DeSantis is pro-Cuba. It's that we see DeSantis is somebody who will fight for America. And you want to know who won't? The left won't. Let me show you this article. It's very, very funny. Exclusive. Cuban exile leader slammed 1619 Project's Nicole Hannah-Jones claimed that Cuba is one of the most equal countries and says the reality is blacks have been sidelined and are no longer in leadership roles since the communist revolution. Orlando Gutierrez Boronat slammed 1619 Project writer Nicole Hannah-Jones after she claimed Cuba is the most equal country in the Western Hemisphere. The Miami-based leader of the Cuban Exiles Group said that comments don't reflect the reality of Cuba's history. What she is saying shows how little she knows about Cuba and how pressure groups use Cuba to promote Marxism, he told Daily Mail. Hannah-Jones sparked fury online after a 2019 podcast in which she made the controversial comments resurface. She said the communist country could serve as a model for integration. She noted how Cuba was one of the most equal and multiracial countries with very little inequality between black and white people living there. Gutierrez Boronat also noted how black Cubans have been sidelined and no longer seen in leadership roles as a result of the 1959 Cuban Revolution. It was during Cuba's democracy that black Cubans had leadership roles as president of Senate, multiple ministries, he said. Now, the left is literally showing you exactly what they want. They want everyone to be equal, but to be equally crappy. This is fueled by their hatred, their pathological hatred, and it's aimed at white people right now. The 1619 Project, although there is some parts to it that are true, it is mostly a fable, mostly a falsehood that says that slavery was the biggest source of for our economy, which wasn't true. It was like I don't know enough about it. I have to read more about it. But like I think 5% of our economy was in cotton. Still a large amount. Still, I think maybe we should do a better job of talking about slavery, especially to younger kids. But should we teach them that if they're white that they are oppressors, and if they're black they're oppressed? Should we? Look at how stupid and how dumb this lady is. She noted how Cuba was one of the most equal and multiracial countries and with very little inequality between black and white people living there. Why do you think that? It's because everybody is the same. Everybody is a slave to the system. The government are the elites. Everybody else, just citizens, have no rights, don't get anything. They get their little bread, their little rations, and that's it. But some of our politicians seem to think there are bigger issues. AOC is one of them. AOC says teachers should be fluent in dismantling racism and accuses GOP of not wanting children to be anti-racist as socialist firebrand pushes CRTs in schools. AOC said teachers should be fluent in dismantling racism. She accused Republicans of not wanting kids educated on the subject. CRT is not taught in elementary school. It is barely taught in law schools, frankly, in the level that it should be taught, she told CNN. Republican legislators in more than 20 states have introduced bills that would restrict teachers discussing racism. Why don't Republicans want their kids to know the tradition of anti-racism in the United States? AOC said. Conservatives argue that students are being taught a warped version of American history. And that the warped history goes back into the 1619 Project, because at the end of the day, critical race theory stems from Marxism. And stems from critical theory, which stems from Marxism. And critical theory, in layman terms, is just bitching and complaining about everything. So what atheists do to Christianity, they just take the worst parts of it and just whine and complain. And then you get that is critical theory, and then you get critical race theory. And critical race theory is basically a lens to see the world. It's not something like biology or philosophy. It is a lens that says that the reason for inequality is racism. And if you are white, you are racist. And if you are black, you are, or not racist. If you are white, you are an oppressor. And if you are black, you are oppressed. And that's why you've seen things. You got to abolish your whiteness. You got to get rid of your whiteness. These are just abstract terms. And the people that are supporting this probably don't even understand what they're really supporting. Yeah, we should get rid of racism. And when you have this mainstream media shoving this narrative down your throat that America is racist, which isn't true, and then you have someone like AOC who says we need to dismantle racism. Yeah, why not? Well, that's not really what they're really talking about. What they're talking about is dismantling Western civilization because they can't succeed in Western civilization. So what they're going to do is they're going to destroy it. And so everyone's going to be equal. Everyone's going to be equally bad, just like in Cuba, while we have the elites who rule over us. And racism, such a big deal. Meanwhile, we have more from Hunter Biden. While we have AOC talking about learning about dismantling racism, we have Hunter Biden was arranging for VP Joe to quit politics and start a DC swamp consultancy firm together, raising more questions over President's claim that he has never discussed business with his son. Emails obtained from Hunter Biden's laptop showed Joe Biden planned to join a law and consultancy firm with his son Hunter and Beau. Hunter discussed the proposed firm in a November 2014 email with his business partner and Biden family friend Jeff Cooper. The plans were thwarted by Beau's tragic death in 2015 from brain cancer. The email suggests that Joe Biden might have quit politics and entered the D.C. swamp of politically tied lawyers and highly paid consultants and lobbyists. President Biden has often decried the D.C. swamp in his speeches. Even deeper financial ties between Joe and Hunter were revealed this month when emails emerged showing that he paid many of his father's bills. Okay, we were talking about racism, we're talking about, what else are we talking about, this bullcrap? I don't know, everything we talk about in culture and in politics is all just a facade for this kind of crap. Biden, completely compromised. Biden is sold out to China, he has dementia, he doesn't care, he's just a puppet who goes on stage. This is what I hope. I hope in a couple years we're going to have these the midterms coming around. I hope we get a bunch of people who love freedom and are willing to fight and get elected and destroy the Democrats, because the Democrats are so worried about defunding the police and feminism and socialism and racism that they don't pay attention. We get a bunch of people in and we can impeach this motherfucker, because Biden, he's got to go. He is evil, he is compromised, and it's not looking good. I don't know. It's looking really bleak right now. We'll have to see. But if you do enjoy what I had to say, I'll be trying to upload Monday through Friday. I think I can help out. I think I have a voice that I think what I'm saying may help people realize what's going on. And if you do, thanks.